In today's video, we'll answer these questions. How did ESEA farm bitcoins through their clients? How did Cloud9 use Adderall for doping on lands? And how did two popular YouTubers get sued for advertising their own CSGO gambling site? As you guys know, oftentimes we tell you some scandalous stories from CSGO. We've done videos like Akuma's radar hack, iBuyPower's throw, and about how Scream nearly got banned for match fixing. But you know, we actually have a lot of interesting stories that just aren't long enough to dedicate a full video to. But that doesn't mean they're not interesting to hear. Today, FACEIT basically has a monopoly in CSGO matchmaking, with good anti-cheat and 128 tick servers. But that hasn't always been the case. For a long time, their main competitor was ESEA, a similar platform that also charged players for a monthly subscription and provided them with high-quality servers and anti-cheat. ESEA lost the battle for solo players to FACEIT a long time ago, so for our story, we'll have to go back around 10 years, when they both had a very large client base. In April 2013, ESEA players started to complain about some strange things happening with their anti-cheat. This small and harmless exe file turned GPUs into straight-up heating machines, and in some cases they even caused a blue screen of death. Antivirus softwares were screaming about some malware stitched into the ESEA client. Unfortunately, players didn't have any choice other than to be patient. They wanted to play on ESEA, so they continued paying for their subscription, but they couldn't just delete the anti-cheat from their PC since it's required while playing on their servers. So it got to the point where some people were literally uninstalling the anti-cheat and then reinstalling it anytime they wanted to play a game, because otherwise it would turn their gaming PC into a hunk of junk. And ESEA simply gave a statement that there was nothing wrong with their client and that they hadn't released any major updates in the past few weeks. Then on April 29th, a user named OCT made a post on ESEA's forum. He wrote that even when his PC is sitting idle, his GPU starts to heat up to 90 degrees Celsius. He assumed that there must be some kind of mining software within the ESEA client. The only mistake that OCT made was that he didn't give any proof, so most people just made a joke out of him. But then everything changed when another player named Scrappy Coco decided to open his task manager and check what actions the ESEA exe file was performing on his PC. And what do you think he discovered? Of course, it turned out to be a Bitcoin mining software, which every second made a request to the Czech project named Slush Pool. ESEA didn't even try to hide this malware. They just openly used it on the OpenCL. So the community was understandably furious. Yes, it's illegal. It's the same thing as someone coming on your property and selling lemonade and not giving you any of the profit or even asking. A few hours after the incident, the founder of ESEA, Eric Thunberg, published an official statement on this matter. LOL, that got aggressive quickly. Back towards the end of March, as Bitcoin was skyrocketing, we were talking about how cool it would be if we could use massive amounts of GPUs logged into the client to mine. We went back and forth about it, considered doing something for April Fools, didn't get it done in time, and eventually elected to put some test code in the client and try it on a few admin accounts, ours included. We ran the test for a few days on our accounts, decided it wasn't worth the potential drama, and pulled the plug. Or so we thought. Rewind back to 48 hours ago, a fuck up in the client server results in a restart, which results in a setting getting changed, which enables it for all idle users. And here we are, and the results of 48 hours of your combined efforts? Approximately 2 BTC, or roughly 280 USD at current exchange rates. Not bad. Anyways, our bad. We just released a client update with the BTC stuff removed, and your $280 is going into the Season 14 prize pot. The community, to put it mildly, didn't buy his lackluster apology. $280 in the prize pool of next season? That's your reaction to getting exposed for ruining the GPUs of all your players? Also, Eric said that the miner was active for only 48 hours, while in fact, people had been complaining about lagging and blue screens of death for at least 2 weeks by this point. It seems like Thunberg was hoping that this statement would be enough to calm ESEA players, but but it actually produced the opposite effect. So just a few short hours later, he posted the following statement. "This has been running since April 14th, and definitely explains the virus warning due to the miner being a separate process. There were a total of 3 wallets on 3 pools set up for the test. Over the 2+ weeks it was apparently running, a total of 30 Bitcoins was mined. Daily sweeps were set up which converted BTC to USD, and transactions totaled $3,600. So first, the bad news. This is way more shady than I originally thought, and as the person who is ultimately responsible for everything, it's 100% my fault. Now, the good news. As of the client update released in the last hour, all the BTC stuff is out, which should solve the GPU and AV warnings. And in a blatant attempt to buy back your love, and less likely your trust, I'm going to do the following. 1. 100% of the funds are going into the Season 14 prize pot, so at the very least, your melted GPUs contributed to a good cause. 2. Every user who is premium this month will get a free 1-month premium code. Once again, our bad. Thanks for keeping us honest. Unfortunately for Thunberg, that still wasn't enough to calm down all the pissed off players. For 2 weeks, ESEA had inadvertently been destroying the GPUs of their player base, and now they think a measly month of premium subscription is going to make them forget all about that? Players were feeling like they were being duped and ripped off. Later, Eric donated $7,000 to charity, being quick to mention that this was twice the amount of money that they made from the Bitcoin that was mined, but the damage had already been done. After a while, the Department of Law and Public Safety of New Jersey started to work up a case, and they ended up fining ESEA for $1 million. In the final court session, the Division of Law Director, Christopher S. Perino, said, "Consumers who subscribe to ESEA's anti-cheat services paid for protection from cheaters, not to be cheated by the very services they'd purchased." $350,000 was immediately taken from ESEA, and as for the remainder of the fine, the judge decided that it would be debited from ESEA in the case that they made another grave mistake within the next 10 years from the hearing date. Unfortunately, we couldn't really find any more details about how this story ended. Digging up the New Jersey court archives turned out to be quite a difficult task, but it looks like ESEA managed to avoid paying the remaining $650,000 fine. Doping scandal in CSGO. Everyone, meet Semphis, a popular American player who won a lot of tournaments and made it to the major playoffs 3 times. 7 years ago, a content maker, Launders, published an interview with Semphis on his YouTube channel, and things were going great. Birds are chirping their beautiful melodies, and there's very nice weather outside. Launders and Semphis are casually chatting about CSGO, with a smile on their faces. Then, in the 8th minute of the interview, Semphis starts talking about calls during an official game. He talks about how much he likes playing with Sean Gares in terms of communication, and in doing so, he drops this phrase, "But don't listen to our calls from the last ESL match, okay? We are on Adderall." Then Launders responds, "Every pro player now uses Adderall, right?" And Semphis goes, "Yeah." These two didn't have the slightest clue that at that very moment, they had just opened a can of worms about the biggest doping scandal in the entire esports industry. They casually mentioned Adderall usage for about 30 seconds, then they laughed and changed the topic. But people didn't like that one bit. The CSGO community was furious. Here we all are watching CSGO tournaments to see some quality CS, but what? It turns out these teams aren't actually skilled, they're just revved up on meds? As an organizer of the tournament where this very thing happened before, ESL needed to do something, and so they did. In a very short time, they announced a new doping policy and became partners with not one, but 2 anti-doping agencies to keep everything clean. From then on, there have been lots of doping tests on every ESL tournament. This change was faced with a lot of criticism from pro players. Now we gotta take a bunch of tests just because of something that Semphis said in an interview? For a lot of players, this new procedure was a big discomfort, especially on LANs where the stress level was already very high. Now there was the added concern about passing drug tests. But ESL were unshakable. They understood very clearly that if if they didn't take preventative measures now, then in a couple of years, someone will surely go to a tournament under, let's say, even more serious conditions than Adderall. Fortunately, pro players quickly adapted to the new rules, and no one has been banned for doping ever since. How did two YouTube bloggers publish videos of big gambling wins turn out to be con artists playing on their very own casino? When Valve added skins to CSGO, they quickly became a pretty strong currency, and it goes without saying that wherever a lot of money is circulating, then gambling will naturally come along too. Unfortunately, Counter-Strike wasn't an exception. Just think about it. The Arms Deal update, which was the first to feature skins, was released in August 2013, and by 2015, the market of CSGO online gambling was already estimated to be around $2.5 billion. Back then, YouTubers made tons of money making paid videos on gambling sites. It was a gold mine. Unprepared viewers could watch a full 30 minutes of ads and didn't have a clue about it. Some authors were paid more than $10,000 for just one short video without any editing. The money was so lucrative that some bloggers still live a rich life using the money that they made on advertising gambling sites in 2016. The CSGO gambling industry was growing incredibly quickly, and no one had the slightest clue about how to control it. In the summer of 2016, the first big scandal happened. It was the case of CSGO Lotto, one of the most popular gambling sites back then. Blogger Honor the Call released an investigation about two YouTubers, Pro Syndicate and Tamar TN, who recorded a lot of videos on CSGO Lotto. Honor the Call exposed those two, showing that they actually owned CSGO Lotto and never mentioned it. They recorded videos where they showed huge casino winnings, but never said anything about them actually owning the casino. Since reputation is the most sacred thing for any blogger, those two started to excuse themselves. One of them says that he owns just a small share of CSGO Lotto, while the other stated that he became a co-owner a very short time ago. In just a few days, Honor the Call proved that it was all just lies, and that those two were the original founders of CSGO Lotto. After a while, some anonymous US citizen filed a lawsuit. Not on those two bloggers, no, but on Valve. An applicant stated that Valve clearly knew about the problems of CSGO gambling, but they wouldn't do anything about it because they were making a profit from the popularity of the CSGO skins. At that time, FTC started to investigate CSGO Lotto owners. Gabon's lawyers were no fools, and since they understood the heat of the situation, they advised Valve to act quickly, and that they did. For example, Valve blocked a few hundred bots that were being used on popular gambling sites, and they added new trading restrictions that made it harder to run a skin casino. And how about those YouTubers? Well, they actually weren't punished. FTC warned them that if they did advertise some products again and didn't say anything about being the owners, that they would be fined up to $40,000. Well guys, let us know what you think about this new kind of video we're trying here. Should we make more of these? Comment below. And of course, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because you are watching CYBERSHOKE. Bye for now.